The soft, familiar click of the front door latch had once been my nightly comfort. Now, it was the opening note to a symphony of betrayal. I lay still, pretending to sleep, my back to the doorway, fists curled tight beneath the blanket. A faint trace of cologne drifted into the room, sandalwood with a sharp citrus edge, an invisible but undeniable sign of her disloyalty. I heard her careful steps on the hardwood, each muted creak a stab of memory now soured. It hadn't happened all at once. At first, it was barely noticeable. A cooler tone in her voice, less eye contact, more time glued to her phone, a cloud of distraction that clung to her like the cheap perfume she'd recently adopted. I told myself it was stress from her high-pressure marketing job, but the unease in my gut refused to fade. Then came the late nights, the flimsy explanations, the muffled whispers behind closed doors when she assumed I wasn't listening. Tonight was no different. The quiet thud of her heels hitting the floor, the faint rustle of fabric as she slid out of her dress, the weary exhale as she sank into bed beside me. I waited, my heartbeat pounding in my ears until her breathing settled into the slow rhythm of sleep. "How is he?" I whispered into the darkness, my voice low and rough. The silence that followed was taut, then shattered by a sharp intake of breath. She froze beside me. Slowly, she turned, her face caught in the pale spill of streetlight to the blinds, drained, wide-eyed, panic-stricken. "David, she stammered, barely above a whisper. The name hit like a physical blow. David, the colleague she was always working late with. In an instant, the puzzle came together, every piece locking into place to form a picture I didn't want to see. "Don't," I said flatly. My voice carried no rage, no grief, no pleading, just a hollow finality. "Don't insult me with lies." Her tears came fast, her words tumbling out in a rush of excuses and apologies. I'd run through the scene in my mind too many times to count, preparing myself for this exact moment. I listened without reacting, letting her voice wash over me like meaningless static. Every word was another nail in the coffin of what we'd been. I didn't shout. I didn't break. The wound was too deep for theatrics. Instead, a cold clarity settled over me. I would make them both answer for this. The next morning, I acted as if nothing had changed. I made breakfast, kissed her goodbye, went to work. But while she sat through meetings, I was setting a plan in motion. I called a private investigator, a trusted contact through a friend, and laid everything out. He worked fast and kept it quiet. Within a week, I had more proof than I dared hope for. Photos, videos, time-stamped evidence. More than I needed, and more than enough to light the fire burning inside me. David wasn't just a name on her lips. He was a man who knew she was married, had seen the photos of us on her desk, the wedding ring on her finger, and still pursued her. That made him just as guilty. He was a rising corporate star, ambitious and polished. His career built on an image he guarded fiercely. I knew exactly where to strike. I gathered everything, every picture, every video, every damning text, and sent anonymous packages to his CEO, his wife, his parents, even his church. I spared no one. Within days, his world collapsed. Fired from his job. Served divorce papers. His reputation scorched beyond repair. He became an outcast, avoided by colleagues, shunned by neighbors, stripped of the carefully crafted persona he'd worn like armor. Clara's fall was just as swift. Word of David's ruin spread quickly through her office. Conversations stopped when she walked past. Admiring glances turned into pity and quiet scorn. She became a whispered cautionary tale. When I confronted her with the evidence, my voice was steady, my demeanor icy. She confessed, pleaded, promised change. But the trust was gone, reduced to dust. I filed for divorce. Within months, it was final. This wasn't about cruelty. It was about taking back what they'd tried to strip from me, my power, my dignity, my balance. It was about ensuring they understood the full weight of their choices. The aftermath wasn't painless. Sleepless nights, moments of crushing doubt, a hollow ache for the life we could have had. But beneath it all, a strange peace began to grow. I had faced the worst and walked through it, coming out sharper, stronger, unwilling to ever settle for less than honesty. I sold the house, cut every remaining tie to our shared past, and rebuilt from the ground up my career, my friendships, myself. The scars stayed, but they became proof of survival, reminders of strength I hadn't known I possessed. Months later, I spotted Clara in a coffee shop. She looked drained, worn thin, a shadow of the woman I'd once known. Our eyes met for the briefest moment. I caught the flicker of shame in hers. I gave a short nod and turned away. The fire had long since burned out, leaving only quiet indifference. I had moved on. I had survived. And that, more than anything, was the most satisfying revenge of all.